Hello everyone, here's your weather hazard briefing for Sunday, August 20th. Wind and rain still coming our way through tomorrow. The heaviest rain will still be over the central mountains today through tomorrow night. Elsewhere, localized heavy rainfall is certainly possible and more showers and thunderstorms later in the week, but the focus will be today and tomorrow with what's left of Hurricane Hilary. In association with that, even though the area of low pressure, what's left of it, remains west of us, some very strong winds coming our direction. The strongest across the central mountains along the Montana border up around Island Park and Monida, but the overall strongest wind looks to be along the south of 84 and 86. A good, strong southerly downslope gap wind event looks to be headed our way during the day tomorrow. On satellite, Hillary is still moving through Baja, but the huge shield of moisture is lifted northward, being pulled northward all the way into the northern Rockies, the Pacific Northwest, and into southern Canada. This area of low pressure, Hillary is moving quickly. The area of low pressure itself, once it moves inland, the low pressure will quickly develop, but it's moving fast enough that area of low pressure, what's left of it by tomorrow night and early Tuesday, will be across portions of eastern Oregon and Washington. That's how quickly it's moving, and that does not happen very often. This is a bit of an unprecedented event for our part of the world here in the Great Basin and the Northern Rockies. Our weather risk outlook, we continue to advertise moderate to heavy impacts over the highlands. The worst of the impacts over the central mountains with the heavy rain, slides, flooding in general, and debris flows on burn scars are going to be a big issue. Elsewhere, it will be breezy, lower impacts, but we can still see some localized rainfall, a little bit of minor flooding as well. Tomorrow, again, the big day. The central mountains, the rain is going to be the big weather impact maker here. We're talking major impacts again with the rainfall there. Once you get into the rest of the area, these impacts are mainly wind related, especially across the Snake Plain and Magic Valley, at the southern end of the Snake Plain and Magic Valley into the South Hills, also up into the eastern highlands. We quickly start to see the impacts of Hillary ending, but there's still moisture around, so showers and thunderstorms. Just some higher, moderate impacts still expected with all the rain that is potentially going to fall over the central mountains that falls and lingers into Tuesday. And then we just see some off and on showers and thunderstorms from there as we head through the rest of the week. Looking at the forecast for today, you can already see rain moving in this morning from the south, and it just keeps on coming as we go into this afternoon. And this looks like a big area of rain. It is, but there has already been and will be embedded thunderstorms, which will enhance the rainfall rates where we see those thunderstorms today and tomorrow. Going into this afternoon, just a whole lot of rain in the central mountains, other pockets of showers and thunderstorms over the area, but you'll notice down around Bear Lake, not much going on with this event, and that's with this system moving farther west. That part of the area, that corner of our area, is going to kind of get left out, at least from the rainfall with this event. As we go into tonight, more rain and thunderstorms falling. We see multiple rounds overnight moving in, generally impacting the central mountains. We go into tomorrow morning, there's a couple of hours of a break, then another band moving into the central mountains, and then we start to see things breaking up a little bit. We're getting a little more sunshine. That is when we're going to see the stronger winds. We get the sunshine, we get the mixing tomorrow. And also potential for more showers and thunderstorms, more patchy showers and thunderstorms, and the localized heavy rainfall with that during the day tomorrow as well, later on in the day anyway. So temperatures today with all the clouds and the showers and thunderstorms, only in the 60s and 70s. Now, we talked about the relative lack of clouds and thunderstorms across the southeast corner. Might be near 80 places like Montpelier, the Cache Valley as well. Otherwise, if you're headed to the higher elevations of the central mountains today, it's only going to be in the 50s. It's going to be wet, breezy, and feel kind of raw up there. Not definitely feeling like summer if you're headed up to Mount Boar today. We do have a slight risk of excessive rainfall over along the Montana border, all of our central mountains over towards Shoshone. That extends back into southwest Idaho, moving back into portions of Nevada. Elsewhere, we have a marginal risk. That just means there's still the potential, if we get some localized heavy rainfall in some spots, we could see some localized flooding. That is just for today. Rainfall for today, just for during the daytime hours, just through 6 p.m. We're talking some of the central mountain areas seeing quarter to half an inch. half an inch to an inch, maybe a little bit more, especially in the mountains surrounding the Wood River Valley, the White Clouds, the Pioneers, and the Boulders. You'll notice there's some decent rainfall across portions of the lava beds, the Arco Desert up into the Island Park area, Monida Pass. It quickly drops off to the south and east from there. That trend continues into this evening and overnight, and you'll still see the Boulders and Pioneers getting the bulk of the precipitation, also parts of the Wood River Valley. Some of those areas seeing a half an inch to just over an inch of rainfall. That's just for tonight alone. Now, those winds, we talked about are pretty strong for tomorrow. They do pick up in some areas this afternoon and this evening. The higher elevations of the Central Mountains by this evening and continuing overnight, we're talking some gusts 30 to 40, maybe some gusts in excess of 40 miles per hour. Also for the higher elevations across the South Hills and the Albion Mountains, mainly the South Hills, some of those gusts well in excess of 30 miles an hour for this afternoon and tonight. Tomorrow, with that little bit of break in the cloud cover tomorrow, we do warm up a little bit, but also places like Twin, Burley, American Falls, Pocatello, Blackfoot, even up to Idaho Falls, and those valley areas south of there, a lot of this getting some temperature boost from the downslope winds expected during the afternoon tomorrow. We still have excessive rainfall issues, a slight risk over the Central Mountains, and again, back towards southwest Idaho into portions of Oregon, down into Nevada as well. The rest of the area, especially in the Central Mountains down through the Magic Valley, down towards the South Hills, a marginal risk. And again, a marginal risk means that isolated stronger showers and thunderstorms, localized heavy rainfall could be an issue leading to some localized flooding. Now, this is the total rainfall for just tomorrow and tomorrow night. Outside of the Central Mountains, not much going on unless we get some stronger storms to train over the same area. The Wood River Valley, the Stanley area, the Sawtooth, we're talking about a half an inch to an inch. Another inch to maybe 2 inches across the Pioneers and the Boulders. That's just tomorrow and tomorrow night alone. So that's why we've been kind of focusing on the Central Mountains. That amount of rain, even if it's over a 24 to 48 hour period, eventually you're going to run into flooding issues. You get some enhanced rainfall rates due to thunderstorms or heavier showers. You run into issues with slides and debris flows as well. Now, folks at WPC, they have put together this graphic, and it talks about, for each state, the highest amount of rainfall that's been associated with any type of tropical system impacting the state. And we talked about it being a rare occurrence this far north. We haven't had over 2.2 inches of rainfall with a tropical system here in the state of Idaho, and that was with Olivia in 1982. That report was down around the Bear Lake area. Some of the other areas, it's even been earlier than that. We're talking Kathleen or other systems back in the 70s or even way back early part of the 20th century. We'll bring that up because the Lost River Range, we're talking about 1 to 2 inches of rain. The Stanley Basin, the Sawtooth, 1 to 2 inches, maybe 2 to 3 inches of rain as well. You'll notice we talked about that bullseye over the Pioneers, parts of the Pioneers and the Boulder Mountains. Some of these areas could see 3 to 4 inches of rain, and I talked about that 2.2 inches is the previous record. Any amount of heavier rainfall in the Central Mountains will break that record, and we're talking a record that's over 40 years old at this point. So certainly not a very common event here in our part of the world. Now, we talked about the winds. The winds for tomorrow, widespread 30 to 45 mile an hour gusts. The higher gusts 50 to 60 miles per hour at times over the Central Mountains on up towards Monida Pass. The more widespread strong wind event, we've been talking about it, the South Hills, the Albion Mountains, along and south of 84 and 86. Widespread winds 50 to 60 miles an hour, even some 70 plus mile an hour gusts across the Albion Mountains, and that includes across that area around Yale and Idaho with south to southwest winds coming through there. Don't be surprised, these events, even though we have lower wind speed amounts where you get some stronger downslope moments or gaps, we should see some gusts 55 to 65 miles an hour all the way from around Pokey back towards Burley along and just north of the interstate during the day tomorrow. Tomorrow night, those wind gusts do wind down, but during the evening, we're still talking 30 to 45 mile an hour gusts, with some areas still over 50 miles per hour. Some gusty winds, but certainly not as strong, except overnight up around the Montana border area for those winds. Tuesday, temperatures drop back a little bit. 70s to near 80s across the area, 60s up in the high country of the Central Mountains. There'll be more showers and thunderstorms in the forecast. It'll be breezy Tuesday, but not as breezy. Some of those gusts only 25 to 35. Up north towards Gilmore Summit, the Montana border, those gusts over 40, around 35 to 40 down across the South Hills and the Albion Mountains. That's tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night. And Wednesday and Thursday, a slow warming trend. We don't dry out a whole lot. We still got moisture coming in from the southwest. We kind of reload the pattern without any tropical system moisture. That's the caveat. So showers and thunderstorms do continue, even if we start to warm up a little bit for the later this week. So we're continuing to watch this rain threat today. You need to pay attention to forecast, any updates for our flood watch in the Central Mountains, and obviously if we issue any flood warnings, flash flood warnings, be paying attention to those. And those gusty winds for tomorrow. Some areas, some pretty strong crosswinds and downslope winds coming our way. Have a great Sunday, and do stay safe out there, everyone.